That's how my luck rolls.
That'd be good. Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. Thursday? It's Thursday.
It is Thursday all day.
Happy Thursday, everyone. American Grit Live, Thursday edition, where we highlight another great veteran, organization, entity, what have you. I am Mikey, your host. With me, as always, my illustrious co-host, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jazz Broom. Hi, buddy.
Wow, I think that's quite possibly the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Well, I'm trying, man. But not to be outdone, today we have a very, very special guest, the one and only Mr. T.O. Sam. Sammy, how are you?
Man, I'm good. Thanks for having me, bro.
Thank you so much for coming in here. I heard about your story and about the things that you do for the veteran community through my wife and some friends. And I was blown away when I heard about it, and I was like, I got to talk to this guy. And from just from the small interactions that you and I have had, I knew right away that I was like, this is a guy that needs to get his story out there. It needs to be told. And I honestly think that as relatable as you are, you could genuinely help guys. So why don't I pass it to you, man? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about what you got going on?
Sure, man. So I'm originally from Lubbock, Texas. Married, got 4 boys. I actually grew up out in the LA area and got involved with the wrong crowd over there, trying to be in gangs and stuff, and trying to be somebody I wasn't. But luckily, it wasn't so bad that I was able to get into the U.S. Army. And then I got a security clearance and started working as a counterintelligence agent in the Army with various special operations units. And then, man, at the end of my career, I ended up coming to Cibolo, Texas, where I live now. And it's just been a pretty amazing career, but there were definitely some low points, as you know, having been in combat. So
yeah. So you are one of those guys who has his fingers in a lot of different organizations.
Yeah, this is kind of like it's a multi-tap here, because this isn't. You're not here just with one organization. You've got you are a busy man.
One-man wrecking crew when it comes to helping veterans. And what really started that journey to get you out there helping vets? Like, was it your own demons? Was it your own experiences where you're like, were you not helped a certain way and you wanted to fix that? Like, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because it all started back when I returned from one of my tours overseas and was diagnosed with PTSD. And at the time, I was like, "What?
Oh, you're in the club? I'm in the we're all in that club.
It's like whatever." Yeah. I was like, "No, that's not me. That's for weak people." You know? And you just gotta learn to suck it up and be mentally tough. So just like with any problem, if you ignore it long enough, it just gets progressively worse, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's what happened to me, man. I just ignored the diagnosis, went on with my life, but it started manifesting in different ways. And at one point, I was done with people. I was telling my wife and kids, I hate people, and road rage would get to me. I'd go from 0 to 60 in a heartbeat. And, I'm a federal agent. I carry a gun, man. So I'm like, it's probably not good, getting mad and
I
stuff.
can get away with this.
yeah. So, and then I started drinking a lot. It's a typical story, right? You start trying to numb up. And I started drinking. And
that's the first sign right there, too, is that self-medication thing. It's the whole, you don't even realize you're doing it, but it's like there could be real help, but I'll just self-medicate and that'll fix it. It's got to be the solution, right?
And and it's so common, right? We've all seen it. Yeah. But and then like we'd go to parties and I'd get juiced up, and then the wife is like, "All right, let me drive," and I'm like, "I got it." And we would get into some arguments because she's like, "I'm not getting in the car," and I'm like, "Get your ass in the car," and it's that kind of stuff. So. Sure. So it got ugly, man. It got ugly for a long time. And then to top it off, I went into this depression. You're dealing with survivor guilt. You're dealing with a bunch of other things like, why not me? Why him? And kind of thing. And then I just went into this deep depression, stopped believing in God altogether.
Sure.
Because I used to talk to God and I was asking why. Why did this happen? Why him? Why not me? Why are these things happening to good people? And so I just finally lost my faith completely. and stopped believing in him. In fact, I remember right before I stopped talking to him, like completely, I said, one of my prayers was, hey God, if you're up there and you're real, in this apocalypse called man, in this experiment called man, and bring the apocalypse tonight, because these people don't deserve you. And so that's what I was saying to God right before I stopped talking to him.
Yeah.
And then I went years of not talking to him, and it just got really dark in those years.
Sure.
And I became suicidal. And there was a point where, yeah, man, I put a gun in my mouth, and I
being
was
a federal agent, it's not like it wasn't out of your grasp. Like it was real. It's a real thing. Sure.
Yeah. And luckily, there was a young lady who just kind of reached out 4 days after I had a gun in my mouth. This young lady, her name's Rachel. She reached out and she said, hey, what church do you go to? She didn't know I was going through anything. She just was wondering what church I went to. And I was like, oh, well, I just haven't found one that I like.
That. Yeah.
But you know what? That's so common, because I realized, looking back, I was being fake, right? I was just being fake with so many people about God. I was raised Catholic.
Sure.
You don't tell a Catholic mother that you don't believe in God.
No.
You just don't do it.
No, that's how you catch a beating.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You can. You just got to decide how dangerously you want to live.
That's right.
Yeah, you can.
I'd rather go back to Iraq.
You better have a good vantage point. You better have checkpoints ready. Good egress.
Good
she's
E&E
coming.
plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I was just totally being fake about the whole thing, man. And I'd go over to her house, eat dinner and stuff. We talk about God. And, I'm just like, just faking the funk the whole time. But
sure.
But I accepted the invitation to go to this church. Rachel invited me to her church there in Cibolo called Everyday Church.
Okay.
And I said, well, let me just go see what they're telling the sheep these days, And I honestly, I went there with kind of an attitude, but I realize now what it was. It was the Holy Spirit drawing me in, right? But back then, I'm just like, let me go check this out.
Sure.
And I sat in the very back left, as far away from the front as I could sit, and then Pastor made me cry like a little girl, man. And then I'm pissed off because I'm crying in public,
But that's kind of in all these situations and stuff, I think that's always the first step, is seeing an opportunity to find some help or some guidance or whatever it is. And I mean, for you, it was church, and sometimes it's just that buddy that you're finally willing to call and go like, hey, I just need somebody to chat to. But just that seeing that door, and even if it cracks open just a little bit, it's just kind of going like, hey, what's it going to hurt me to step through this and just kind of see what's on the other side and see if it doesn't take me to somewhere that I should be.
No,
so
absolutely.
Whether that's like I said, whether it's a church thing or your buddy or your mom or, hell, you're willing to walk into a doctor's office or whatever and just go like,
sure,
look, something's off and I need to figure out what that is, and I can't figure it out on my own. So,
well, you can't. That's the thing, is there's no way that you can do this on your own.
Yeah,
and
that's right. That's what I was just going to say.
And it's so we talk about on the show all the time how hard it is because we're stubborn. We're all alphas. We're all stubborn. We're all like, like, oh, it's weak. It's weak to ask for help. It's weak like that, and we're trying to get that beat into our stubborn ass heads that it's not weak.
That's
all right. It takes more moral courage and more strength inside to ask for help than it does to just keep drifting through.
The funny thing is that it completely breaks our training standard. So we are trained to not go into a fight in the U.S. Armed Forces unless we outnumber the enemy 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
But yet this enemy comes around and we're all like, no, I got it on my own. Don't worry about it.
Right.
And it's like, dude, you're trained to fight 3-1.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to fight this solo?
That's a great analogy.
It's breaking all the training you've ever received. There is nothing wrong with getting online and letting those guys fight with you.
Like, you don't even like look at like small like fire teams. I mean,
It's
you're never by yourself.
Still 3-1.
Yeah.
I don't care how badass you think you are out there. Every single standard is 3-1.
You're not Rambo.
And yet we come home and it's all like, I got this. Don't even worry about it. And it's like,
I'm actually writing a book right now called The Power of a Village. And it's about community. It's about the fact that everything you guys are saying, that we're not meant to do life alone. Nor should we. So we have to find that.
I think you're going to have to give Jazz an author credit over here.
That's right.
So we both live in Cibolo, you and I, which is a great, very small community in the outskirts of San Antonio. And I always hear things about you being like Cibolo's favorite son. Like they absolutely love you out there. I know that the mayor loves you. I know that like the city council loves you. all the people at the wine bar love you. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
right.
I mean, so
That's right.
It's like, you know, like everybody seems to genuinely say nothing but nice things about you. And how I initially heard about you was the run that you organized. Can we talk about that? That was
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so that was so as I came back to Jesus after Rachel invited me to church, I got baptized on 1 January 2017, and then after that I just had this yearning desire to serve, and how can I give back? And I was looking for ways to, all right, I need to, you know, I needed a purpose, you know, a newfound purpose, and that's what I advocate now with a lot of guys struggling with PTSD, man. Once you start to heal, you need a purpose.
Yeah.
And so mine was, I'm like, well, I just came up with it. I said, I'm going to organize a fundraiser. I think I saw something in New Braunfels or somewhere. They were raising money for a cause. And I was like, I can put that on. I can do that. Oh no, it was my friend Gina. Gina was doing a 5K for suicide awareness on Randolph. And I had went, and I was like, man, I could put this together. And her husband actually helped me put together the first 5K as a fundraiser for combatptsd.org, which is actually Project Healing Heroes. They just do business as combatptsd.org.
Sure.
So I decided I'm going to do it for them, because I had read through the founder's workbook, which is this workbook right here, which I brought. It's called the Combat PTSD Reintegration Workbook. And I read this, man, and I'd never read anything like it, because it takes your military training and turns it around and helps you use that to combat PTSD. So
It's awesome.
So I was sold, and I just asked for volunteers on Facebook, said, hey, who wants to help me do this? And so some of my closest friends were like, yeah, I'll help you do it. And then I started having some meetings at my house, not knowing what I was doing, because I'd never done anything like that before. So I was asking a lot of questions of my friend Gina, who had put the one on in Randolph, and we got it going. And we raised, I want to say 14K the first year that we did it. And then we did it last year, and we raised almost 25K. And that's after overhead. So
Gina's actually
Hey,
watching.
look at that.
right
Gina's
now.
watching right now.
Is that right?
She commented. She said, "I'm here too."
Oh, that's my mother.
Oh, that's your mom.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
my mom,
Mom.
Gina.
How you doing?
And my dad. He just came
nice.
on.
Look at that. That's awesome.
Look at that. Mom and dad are watching.
Hey,
That's
Mom.
awesome.
Hey, Dad.
That's awesome, man. I was actually given a T-shirt. Someone gave me the T-shirt, and I was like, "Where did this happen?" And they're like, "Oh, it was like a couple days ago," and I was mad that I had missed it. So the next one,
Yeah, man.
like when are you planning on doing
It's
another
going to
one?
be, I think it's, oh man, June. Man, I've been to look that up. I believe it's June 13th.
So next summer.
Yeah, so next June.
Let
yeah.
me know.
So you got
man.
time to train.
Definitely.
Yeah, I didn't say I was running. I said I'd help. These colors don't run no more, brother.
Well, I'll come run it. I'll come out and run it.
Jazz is a runner. He can run
Talking
it.
about this shirt?
That's the shirt.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
man.
Yeah, that's the shirt.
I'll tell you what, I'll leave
that's
this one
awesome.
with you guys, and
There
you
you
and
go.
Jazz can like
It's a
arm
great
wrestle.
looking
There you
shirt.
go,
Arm
Jazz.
wrestle for it or something.
I got that shirt, Jazz.
Well,
That
we
was all
already
yours, bro.
established I can outrun you, so I'll just
That's
take off with it.
absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Yeah, man. Another thing that's interesting about what you do is you go to prisons and like mentor inmates, you know. And I know it's more on the religious side.
Yeah.
You know, you take a Sunday church service and you bring it into them, you know. But what's that like stepping into a prison? I mean, like, because you got to think, if you think PTSD affects military members, I'm positive that inmates are having those issues too.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And so like that, I can see how it could easily transcribe. I mean, I know that we eat the same kind of food as inmates when we're in. You know,
Yeah.
I remember seeing like on the side of the boxes in the chow hall, and it was like for military or prisoner consumption only. I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
And that's something.
You know, so
And that's something.
I mean, so like I'm sure that
I mean,
those
either
guys
way, it's
have,
a couple of years of you not being allowed to go do what you want. So it's
I mean, so do you see some of the same issues?
No, absolutely. A lot of those guys, the ones that come to the service that we put on inside the prison at Dilley, Texas, it's the Briscoe unit down there.
Uh-huh.
And we do it through my church, Revolution Church out of Selma.
Granted, this is Texas. There's a lot of prisons here.
Yeah.
There's
So we go down there on Tuesday nights to put this on, and a lot of those guys are close to being released.
Yeah.
Some of them have been there for 20 years, man, 20 plus years, and but they're getting close to being released. And you can see, just in talking to them, you can hear and see that some of the symptoms are also there about about guilt, about something they may have done in the prison that they're dealing with still, or just some trauma that they were exposed to in the prison as well. And you can hear when they talk about, they saw somebody get stabbed or something like that. You can just see it. Yeah, and it affects everybody differently, right? It's a stress. PTSD is a stress, and you don't get cured from it. There is no cure. You just learn to manage it, just like it's stress. You learn to manage stress.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we see it. It's about 150 male inmates that come to the service we put on in the gym, and yeah, these guys, it's amazing to just watch how God works through them and the salvation that's being done in that little prison.
Now, I was telling you before the show that my degree is in criminal justice, so and I actually did like my capstone project on recidivism rates and whatnot, and I would love to see like the statistics on guys who go and take those steps on those recidivism rates. Yeah. It's a word. Everybody, look it up. Recidivism.
So why don't you? What does it mean?
It means they got out and they get back in. All right. It's basically an 85% recidivism rate for the first year for most prisons here in Texas, which is terrible. So I would like to see the statistics, but we'll talk about that one offline.
Sure. That's a good point.
Do you consider yourself? I mean, because you have your fingers in all these things, and you sit on the board for Healing Heroes. You sit on a board for a couple other veteran nonprofits. You also help that. Do you consider yourself like a philanthropist? Is that the?
Yeah. So, I guess the short answer is no.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Philanthropist is such I don't think I quite meet the definition to that. I mean, I help where I can raise money for any organization that's trying to help veterans. I mean, it's just the right thing to do.
Sure.
Well, hold on. Let's find out here real quick. Can my production team give me the actual definition of philanthropist real quick? What is it actually defined as? Because I think Mikey might be accurate. Hold on.
Let's take a look.
You're throwing them big words at me too, man. I have a public education. I had to think about that for a sec.
A person who seeks to promote the welfare of others, especially by the generous donation of money to good causes. I'm pretty sure you fall into that definition.
Pretty sure you're a philanthropist, man.
All right. Well,
I think that's kind of a thing.
So, especially on that front end.
Yeah.
I mean, you are seeking the improvement and welfare of others.
Yeah.
And we talked about this before, about regardless of the money amount or the stuff or any of that kind of thing, the number one thing that you can give anybody is time, because it's the one thing you can't get back. Yeah. So if we're defining the level of donation or sacrifice that you are giving to a community, time, you are definitely not shy on how much you're giving that. And you just threw out numbers that just what the 5K is doing as far as raising and giving and stuff like that is concerned. So yeah, I think you're that example of, look, you don't need to be a billionaire to make a difference. Like, you can just go give some time, figure out a solution, find a way to make that difference. And that's what you're doing. And you're doing it in a couple different paths. You've got...
Yeah.
Well, there's so much that one person can do. And I didn't realize how much you can do. I always tell people I'm not busy. My schedule's not busy. My calendar is full, because busy implies that I don't have any control to me. When I say full, to me, that means that I have control and I can scale it back. I don't want to do things at the expense of my marriage anymore, at the expense of time with my family.
Sure.
So I know when I have to scale it down and spend some time with the wife and go date and stuff like that. So it's just managing it. Again, it's just managing it. But I live and die by the calendar. I mean, if it's not on the calendar, it's not getting done.
Yeah.
So I do, but it's a full calendar. And if more people would just realize that, hey, listen, man, when you find a purpose, my friend Rachel once said, if the two most significant days in a man's life are the day he's born and the day he realizes why. And when you realize why and you find that purpose, dude, there's no stopping you, man. And I had no idea that I could accomplish as much as I have in just the past few years, alone. But it's all because, I figured it out and I found my purpose. My purpose is to serve, to help others, and whatever it takes, however we can do it, to network, you know, to bring others together, leverage other resources. And that's what I try to do. I try to connect people who have a need with somebody who can satisfy that need, regardless of what it is, you know. So that's kind of where I see my role. That's why, for instance, I'll give you a great example. I consult with a company called Absolute Merchant Solutions, and they provide credit card processing services to businesses. Well, there's a lot of small businesses out there, small mom and pop places that pay exorbitant monthly fees for credit card services, right? We're talking hundreds and thousands of dollars are paid every month. Well, with this company, we come in and we help them eliminate the monthly credit card processing fee and just charge them $45 a month as a flat rate. That helps them keep more money in their pocket to do what? To do good. Because I firmly believe that money's not the root of all evil. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. I want good people, Christian people, just good people. I want them to have more money. I want them to find other means of income. I want them to have residual income, because the more income they have, the more they bless others with it. The more they can give to nonprofits and charities of their choice. So that's just one of the reasons I do that particular thing.
That's awesome, man. Sammy, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Hearing your story and getting your name out there and talking about Healing Heroes and all the combat PTSD runs and everything. Like it really is just, we talk about it all the time, the tools for the toolbox. Jazz nailed it last week with the building of the mechanic. You know, this is just another training tool for those mechanics to grab those tools and help them through a lot of problems that they normally wouldn't know was available to them. So thank you so much from me to you, and on behalf of American Grit, thank you very, very much. Yeah, like
thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great to see leaders out there, you know, making a difference and being an example and stuff like that. And we're trying to do everything we can to share those stories and make sure that people are aware of it. There's some content actually getting ready to come out that we made with the people from Frontline Leaders, the deck of cards that Bicycle's putting out.
That's right.
And it's more veteran organizations that are out there that represent that community and make a difference and change things. And we want to share those stories because we have that presence to be able to do it. And like having you come in to do this show here and the stories and stuff that we're going to tell from there, that's the key. And it's like you said, it's bringing people together so that they're aware that there's these opportunities to go out there and improve and change things and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and it's relatable. You know, it lets us all know that, you know, we're not alone, and that's the number one thing that people need to realize, is that you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there who are willing to help and they want to help. So get off your ass, go get some help. That's what I'm saying.
Or help somebody else if you don't think you need it. Then find somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I bet you are. I bet you'll be surprised about how much of a difference you can make and how much that person you're helping will actually teach you about yourself too. So it's,
that's true.
You can always
that's
do one
true.
more
It's
thing.
always a two-way journey on all things.
100%. And you'd be surprised. Helping people in turn often helps yourself, I found.
That's right.
Which was really big. So
if you want to help this guy out,
yeah,
look up Project Healing Heroes, the Combat PTSD 5K run, the Revolution Church, which is what you're coordinating,
Revolution
the
Church.
outreach program.
Juice
Hold on.
Plus, inspiring healthy living around the world.
Yeah, so you got that.
Strategic Global Commissioning, helping missionaries
which
around
is
the world.
missionary work by looking at threat analysis and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to help this guy out in any way,
and he needs help because he's clearly busy.
yeah,
I'm Tio Sam on Facebook.
Tio Sam?
Tio Sam on Facebook.
Tio Sam, which is arguably the greatest name.
So so if you're sitting around going like, I want to help but just don't know how, pretty sure he can find something for you to do. So go find him out. And Mikey, thank you for letting me be on American Grit yet again.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Absolutely.
Tio,
Total honor, guys.
Pleasure
No,
talking
thank
with
you.
buddy.
The pleasure's all mine.
And all you guys out there, thank you so much for tuning in for American Grid. I'm Mikey. We will see you Monday with another great analysis of current events and craziness. We will see you then. Take care.